Hey again from the garden, it's Christina from Sunshine and Flora. So this video is going to be kind of a variety for you guys. It was filmed over the course of a few days, and I basically set the camera up while I was doing some of my garden work. And if you've been watching my videos for quite some time, you have seen every year I do a big end of season market mid to late September. So I am already prepping for that because it is less than a month away already, and that is when I really start prepping. So first I want to walk you around the garden and just show you a few of the things I'm doing to prep for that market, and then it's going to go into the footage of me working in the garden, doing that prep. I'm even going to show you some vegetable harvesting and one of my canning recipes. So first let's do a little walk around the garden, and I hope you guys enjoy this video. So one of the main flowers throughout the summer and late summer into fall that I have in the garden are my zinnias, and I had a little bit of a struggle with my zinnias this year. I'll walk you out and show you the original zinnia patch, which I've been harvesting off of. We have had so much rain, the soil has been so muddy, seeds have gotten washed away, beds have gotten flattened. It's been a real battle this year, but I have about 3 or 4 later succession plantings of zinnias, and they're looking really good. This is one patch, and the Bennery's Giants are starting to bloom. So this is one of the patches that I am going to really rely on for this end of the season market. And usually about 2.5 weeks before that market, I come through my zinnia patches. I've done this every year, and I completely deadhead them. I fertilize them, I give them a boost, and that seems to time out with giving me fresh, harvestable blooms just in time for that market. So this is one of the patches that I'm going to be doing that with. I've got a few of the Oklahoma white, then we get into just a few of the Queen Lime Peach, I think that's what those are. And then the rest of the bed are all Bennery's Giants. These plants are so healthy looking. In fact, look at how beautiful this bloom is. I'm gonna try and shade it for you guys. Oh, that's not helping. We'll just leave it in the sun. But the size of this bloom is huge. I just love these Bennery's Giant Coral. These are gonna be great. All right, let's go walk around the other succession plantings that I have done. One other thing I did recently, this entire bed of Sahara Rudbeckia was deadheaded, and it is starting to rejuvenate as well. It's also been fertilized, so I'm hoping I get quite a few blooms out of this bed for that market as well. All right, so in this perennial space, which it's half sun and half shade, so it's kind of hard to see, but I have 3 rows of zinnias planted in here, along with some weeds. I'm gonna have to take care of those, but let me zoom in. These are all the Queen Lime series, and they're just starting to bud up. So even if they're not the tallest plants and I just get some blooms off of these in a month, they will be perfect for my jelly jar vases. I need to come through here and amend the soil a little bit. These aren't quite as big as some of my other plantings, but I will still get a lot of blooms out of here. I mean, these are really starting to branch. The plants look healthy. The buds look great. And my strawberries are really filling in. Oh my goodness, here's a strawberry right here. I'm gonna have to come back and get that later. Sorry it's so bright. This is not the most ideal time to film, but this is another one of the patches. Now this is all that winged amoebium, and it is just starting to put on some growth. But this little bed, you can clearly see the rows here. This is all Oklahoma Gold, which is this. And then the ones that are not budding yet, I think these are the Oklahoma Salmon. So this is gonna be just a really pretty patch of all of those small blooms. And I probably should come through here and thin them a little bit, which I may do when I deadhead. But as of right now, they're looking really good. And some of them, in fact, are starting to bloom. Try and focus on that for you. These are just the cutest flowers. I love the Oklahoma series. All right, so I'm anticipating a good harvest out of this patch. We're gonna move down here, and I'm gonna show you the other 2 patches. Okay, so my first patch of zinnias is right here. This area, my dad literally just came through his lawnmower and mowed because I was sick of looking at it and I need to tarp it. That's a sunflower bed that was just too muddy, and I couldn't till it, and I never planted it. Yeah, it's been one of those years. But this is my original zinnia patch, full of grass, going to seed, which is the worst thing that you can let do. But I just fertilized this, and there's a lot of harvestable blooms in here. Oh my gosh, my lighting is so bad today. Hopefully you guys are still watching this. Let me move to this side. There we go. That's a really pretty view. I have a lot of harvestable blooms that I'm going to be using for bouquets this week. I mean, these are just absolutely beautiful. And then I will come through and deadhead this whole patch. But these are all the Johnnies. So those were the ballerina. These are, I believe, the Aurora. I mean, look at that bloom. It is just perfect. And then down here, these are even just a little more orange in color. So I think if I take care of this bed, it'll give me some late season blooms. But next to it, this is the one that is just starting to bloom. This has a few more of the Oklahoma salmon, but it's got Bennery's orange, Bennery's wine, and then this is the, there I go shading it again. This is the Bennery's purple, which is one of my favorites. No, not purple, lilac. I think this is the lilac. But this patch just got fertilized. I'm really gonna try and take care of it. The plants themselves look healthy. For the most part, it doesn't have a lot of weeds, minus this tall plume of grass here. But there's a lot of plants in here, and so I'm really hoping that this is gonna give me a lot of blooms too. Also, my straw flower are looking really beautiful, so it's time to come through and pluck the blooms off again for dried flowers. However, this time of day, they're covered with wasps, so I probably need to wait till morning. There are at least 2 wasps crawling around this plant. So now we're gonna move into the portion of the video where I set the camera up and you can see me doing the garden work. And the first thing you're going to see me working on is my status bed. I went completely through this bed, removed all the weeds and grasses, cut back any status that was harvestable, put it in the cooler, and then I went through and any that were past their prime, knocked over by the wind, they had gotten kind of laying down on the ground, creating a mat. All of that got removed, and the only thing that is left in this area are beautiful stems that are almost ready to be harvested. And I'm really going to try and keep up on this bed so that it keeps generating the blooms, because status is a perfect flower for my September market. Good morning, it's a Sunday morning. I'm up here at the garden early and I'm actually harvesting some vegetables today. So I thought this might be fun to throw in one of my flower videos for you guys. If you like seeing the vegetable footage of me harvesting, preserving, let me know, because this might be something that I start adding into my videos more. But let's head out to the garden bed. I'm gonna get some beets. We're gonna check the celery, peppers, maybe some beans. We'll just see what's out there. it's time to pickle the beets that you saw me harvest. The first thing I do is boil the beets for about 30 minutes. This softens the outer skin so that they are easy to peel. I like to get a lot of my preserving recipes from this book called Freeze Fresh. This particular one I'm going to can. So after the beets are done boiling, I'm saving 2 cups of the beet liquid from the pan. Now, this is not quite as dark a liquid as normal because halfway through I noticed that the liquid was a little bit dirty. I must not have got the beets completely clean. And so I emptied everything out, started over, so this liquid is a little lighter than normal. Here I'm just straining them. I'm gonna rinse them off and let them cool just a little bit before I start peeling them. In the meantime, I'm getting some water boiling because I need to sterilize the jars that I'm going to use for canning. I boil my jars for 10 minutes and that sterilizes them. Back to peeling the beets. I rinse them a little bit and then literally you just kind of squeeze the beet and the skin comes right off. So I set them all aside and then later I will slice them up. Some people like to wear gloves because beets can stain your fingers. I find that if you rinse your fingers in between, it doesn't stain too bad. And look how beautiful these are, fresh from the garden. I also harvested some glads for myself this morning, and we have some Roma tomatoes that are ripening a little bit more for sauce. Now it's time to make the brine. I'm using a very simple recipe that is 2 cups white vinegar, please ignore the shirt that I'm wearing. I didn't know if I was going to splatter the beet juice on myself and I didn't want it to stain my clothing, so I literally grabbed the worst t-shirt out of my drawer. Now I'm getting a cup of that beet juice that I saved. Adding it to the pot. And then I need a cup of sugar. So it's 2 cups vinegar, 1 cup beet juice, 1 cup sugar. And a half tablespoon of pickling salt. I halved this recipe because I didn't have enough beets for the full recipe. I'm bringing the brine to a full boil to dissolve the sugar, then turning the temperature down to bring it back to a simmer. It's also been 10 minutes for my jars, so I'm taking them out of the water and they are fully sterilized. Now it's time to slice the beets and get them in the jars. I like to take both ends off and then you just slice them. I like to do slices versus chunks and I make them about 1/4 inch thick. There's no real science to this. And then you just fill them in the jars as full as you can get it. Here's the brine brought to a boil. Here's me turning it down to a simmer. I also like to put my lids in some hot water because I have read that helps them seal better. And now I'm just taking my brine and filling the jars. You want to fill it almost to the top, leaving 1/4 inch of headspace. I think I actually left a little bit more than that. And one of my jars wasn't completely packed full of beets because I ran out, but that's okay, it still cans the same. Now I'm putting my lids on from the hot water, putting the band around them, and they will be ready to can. I'm water bath canning these for 35 minutes based on my elevation. And my 35-minute timer will start when the water is at a full boil. And you want the water to be a couple inches above your jars. I ended up having to add water to the water bath canner. It's been 35 minutes and they're done, and now I'm just taking them out of the canner. This is the jar that wasn't quite full. But they turned out amazing. They need to sit for about 2 weeks and then we can try them. Hope you enjoyed this video and happy canning!